There's a saying, isn't there, that goes something like this: a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We've all heard it. It's so ingrained in our minds that it's almost a cliche. But what if we took that idea and gave it a different rhythm? What if we saw that single step not as a clunky, solitary act, but as a deliberate, graceful tiptoe? A small, almost imperceptible movement that, when repeated, doesn't just get you from point A to point B, but fundamentally transforms the very rhythm of your life. Today, I want to talk about the power of the tiptoe. The quiet, consistent, and seemingly insignificant actions that over time become a profound and transformative dance. We live in a world obsessed with grand gestures. We see viral videos of overnight successes. We hear stories of monumental breakthroughs, and we are told to go big or go home. But what if the greatest victories aren't found in the thunderous leap, but in the gentle, persistent press of a foot against the floor, again and again and again? Think about the most intricate, beautiful dance you've ever witnessed. Was it a single dramatic move that captivated you? Or was it the seamless flow of countless individual steps? The subtle shift of weight, the precise turn of a heel, the graceful extension of a hand, each a small, almost invisible part of a breathtaking whole. That is the essence of this idea. Your life is not a series of isolated leaps. It is a continuous, evolving dance. And every single action, no matter how small, is a step in that choreography. We often feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of our goals. We look at the mountain we need to climb, and we see the summit as an impossible distance. We see the chasm we need to cross, and we freeze. But what if we stopped looking at the mountain and started focusing on the single tiny step directly in front of us? The step of getting up 5 minutes earlier. The step of writing one single sentence. The step of making one difficult phone call. Each of these is a tiptoe, a small, seemingly insignificant movement that in isolation doesn't look like much. But when you string them together, when you commit to that rhythm, something extraordinary begins to happen. The secret lies not in the size of the step, but in its consistency. The power isn't in the tiptoe itself, but in the habit of tiptoeing. It's the daily practice, the unwavering commitment to forward motion, no matter how slow it feels. This is how character is built. This is how skills are honed. This is how dreams are realized. One small, quiet, persistent tiptoe at a time. The cumulative effect of these small actions is a force more powerful than any sudden leap. It's a force that builds momentum, that creates an unstoppable current, and that, eventually, transforms the very landscape of your existence. This is not a message about being timid or afraid to take big risks. It's a message about understanding that the biggest risks are often built on a foundation of countless small, deliberate actions. The leap of faith is only possible because of the steady, unwavering steps that came before it. The dramatic pivot is only effective because of the continuous, quiet practice that made it possible. We must learn to respect the quiet work, the unseen efforts, and the slow, steady progress that doesn't make for a dramatic headline, but makes for a meaningful life. Your rhythm is being created every single day, with every choice you make, no matter how small. It is the sum total of your tiptoes that will one day turn into a dance that will take your breath away. Let's turn our attention now to a real-life example of how this powerful principle can play out on a global stage, in the darkest of times. The story of Oskar Schindler is not a tale of a single, heroic act, but a testament to a man who, in the face of unimaginable horror, chose to take countless small, courageous steps. He didn't start as a savior. He was a savvy, opportunistic businessman, a member of the Nazi Party who saw an opportunity to profit from the war. His initial motivation was self-interest, not altruism. Yet, his journey from a profiteer to a rescuer is a profound and moving illustration of how a series of small, consistent actions can transform not just one's own life, but the lives of thousands. Schindler didn't wake up one morning with a grand plan to save over 1,000 Jewish people from the Holocaust. The process began with something far simpler, far smaller. It started with his decision to employ Jewish workers in his enamelware factory. Initially, This was a business decision. The Jewish laborers, who were paid less, were a more cost-effective workforce. But as he interacted with them, as he saw their humanity, as he witnessed the escalating brutality of the Nazi regime, his perspective began to shift. The tiptoe started here. It was the small, quiet step of choosing to see the people behind the labels, to acknowledge their individual worth in a world determined to dehumanize them. As the war intensified and the atrocities mounted, Schindler's actions became more deliberate, though still, at first, seemingly small. He would use his connections, his charm, and his considerable wealth to bribe Nazi officials. He would falsify documents to justify keeping his workers, arguing that they were essential to the war effort. Each bribe was a tiptoe. Each falsified document was a tiptoe. Each conversation with a high-ranking official was a step in a dangerous and high-stakes dance. He was constantly navigating a razor's edge, using his position as a shield for those who had none. He wasn't leaping in front of a firing squad. He was working tirelessly and covertly behind the scenes, one small, risky action after another. His ultimate act, the creation of his famous list of essential workers, was the culmination of countless such tiptoes. It was a list compiled not in one moment of heroic inspiration, but through the continuous, painstaking effort of advocating for each person, one name at a time. He negotiated. He pleaded. He spent his entire fortune to keep his Schindler Juden safe. He didn't have a grand sweeping plan from the beginning. He simply responded to each new escalation of horror with a small, yet significant, act of defiance. He used his connections to get food for his workers. He risked his life to ensure their safety. And he consistently chose to do the right thing even when it was the hardest and most dangerous option. His actions were not a single dramatic move, but a sustained, unwavering performance. The legacy of Oskar Schindler is a testament to the power of the continuous tiptoe. He started as a man motivated by greed and ended as a man defined by grace. His transformation was not a sudden conversion, but a gradual step-by-step process of choosing empathy over apathy. The dance he performed was one of slow, steady resistance against a torrent of hatred. It was a dance that saved over 1,000 lives, not because he took one dramatic leap, but because he took countless, quiet, consistent steps towards a better, more humane rhythm. His story teaches us that even in the face of unimaginable evil, the smallest acts of kindness and courage can accumulate into a monumental force for good. The story of Oskar Schindler serves as a powerful reminder that the transformation of our lives, and indeed the world, is not predicated on a single moment of genius or a solitary act of heroism. It is woven into the fabric of our daily choices, our small kindnesses, and our persistent efforts. His story shows us that the most profound change often begins with an almost imperceptible shift, a quiet decision to step in a different direction. It teaches us that our rhythm is not predetermined, but is actively shaped by every single tiptoe we take. So, how do we apply this to our own lives? How do we start our own dance? It begins with a fundamental shift in perspective. Stop waiting for the big break. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for inspiration to strike like a bolt of lightning. Instead, start today. Start now. Take that single, tiny, seemingly insignificant step. If your goal is to write a book, don't wait until you have a perfect outline. Write one sentence, then another, then another. If you want to get healthier, don't wait for a dramatic diet change. Go for a 5-minute walk. Tomorrow, make it 6. This approach liberates us from the tyranny of perfectionism and the paralysis of overwhelming goals. It allows us to build momentum gently and sustainably. Each small step builds confidence. Each small success fuels the next. The rhythm of your life begins to change, not with a jarring, sudden jolt, but with a smooth, continuous flow. The anxiety of how will I ever get there is replaced by the quiet satisfaction of I'm moving forward. It's the difference between trying to sprint a marathon and committing to a consistent, comfortable pace. One is exhausting and often leads to failure. The other, a steady, graceful progression, leads to the finish line. The dance of your life is your unique choreography. It's a blend of your dreams, your struggles, your triumphs, and your failures. But the beauty of this dance isn't found in the grand leaps alone. It's in the quiet, consistent footwork. It's in the deliberate movements that nobody else sees. It's in the choices you make when you're alone, when no one is watching. These are the tiptoes that build resilience, that forge character, and that, over time, create a rhythm that is uniquely and beautifully your own. Let's stop underestimating the power of small steps. Let's stop waiting for the grand gesture that will change everything. Instead, let's embrace the power of the tiptoe. Let's commit to the small, daily, and consistent actions that will, over time, transform our lives and the world around us. Your journey isn't just a destination. It's a beautiful, intricate dance. And it's a dance that begins and is perfected one small, deliberate, and courageous step at a time. The rhythm of your life is yours to create. So, what's your first step? What's your first tiptoe? Start dancing.